Call it the Great White Void. Call it the place where the map ends and the silence begins. Most people know it as the Alaska Triangle, but names do not hold a place like this. Words cannot fully map its edges. The land is too big. The cold is too old. The sky here seems to watch without mercy, a vast and indifferent witness to all that happens below. It is a corner of the world where the familiar rules of civilization feel thin, stretched to their breaking point over mountains, glaciers, forests. Here, the earth itself seems to breathe a quiet, ancient power. Since the year 1970, a chilling statistic has grown in the shadow of these mountains. The terrain itself is not a passive backdrop for human adventure. It acts like a predator. It is active, dynamic, and profoundly dangerous. Steep, razor-like ridges can drop suddenly into hidden valleys, shrouded in mist, their depths unseen and unmeasured. Glaciers, those slow rivers of ice, can shift and calve without warning, powerful enough to grind stone into dust. A deep crevasse, hidden beneath a thin bridge of snow, can swallow a person whole in a single, misplaced step. The land has countless traps, laid not with malice, but with the simple, unthinking indifference of nature's raw power. In some parts of the triangle, the very forces that guide us become unreliable. There are documented magnetic anomalies that cause compasses to spin uselessly, their needles dancing without direction. Modern GPS systems, which we have come to trust with our lives, can fail without explanation, their screens freezing or showing a location miles from the truth. Pilots have reported instruments that lie, altimeters that give false readings, and radios that fill with static. In a place where a person must trust their tools completely, a tool that lies is a profound betrayal. When your compass points the wrong way, you can walk directly into oblivion and believe you are on the path home. It's that simple and that terrifying. There is also the overwhelming challenge of what can be called a systemic silence. This silence is born of scale. The Alaska Triangle is simply too vast. It is easy to be small inside it, to be lost in a way that is almost absolute. Even the most dedicated search and rescue teams, helicopters, trained dogs, can only cover a fraction of the ground. A sudden blizzard can ground a fleet of aircraft for days. A heavy snowfall can bury every track, every sign, every clue under a blanket of white. Weeks can pass before a search party reaches the right ridge or valley. In that time, the trail goes cold, and the silence grows deeper. This silence that falls after a disappearance is not empty. It is filled with the ghosts of things left behind. It holds stories. It holds a rusted canteen half buried in the moss. It holds a single, weathered hiking boot, its laces still tied, lying as if it were a fossil in the dark soil. It might hold a child's brightly colored jacket, tangled in the branches of a thorny bush miles from any known trail. These objects are often the last proof that someone came this way. For many families, this is all they will ever get back. A bracelet, a scrap of cloth, a small, cruel confirmation that the person is gone. The land keeps the rest. Some disappearances fade into local lore, known only to the families who grieve. Others are so shocking they are etched into the national memory. One of the most famous and unsettling cases is that of U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs. In October of 1972, he boarded a small twin-engine Cessna. With Alaska Congressman Nick Begich, they flew from Anchorage to Juneau. They were men of power, men of maps and schedules. But the Triangle made no exception. Their plane vanished from the sky. It never arrived. It sent no distress signal. It simply disappeared. The search that followed was one of the largest in American history. For 39 days, military aircraft, civilian aircraft, a search area of over 32,000 square miles. They flew over mountains, glaciers, forests, coastal waters. The country watched, holding its breath. Families waited, clinging to hope that dwindled with each passing day. Yet, no wreckage was ever found. No oil slick, no debris, not a single piece of the aircraft. The land answered with silence. The sea answered with silence. The sky answered with silence. The case still haunts us. No amount of power protects you here. But it is not only the powerful who are taken. The ordinary person, the hiker, the hunter. A man walks a familiar trail and does not return by nightfall. Friends wait at the trailhead as twilight deepens. They call for rescue. A search is launched. Men and women comb the woods, voices calling a name with no reply. Days turn into weeks. Hope erodes. And then, maybe, they find something. A discarded pack. An ice axe stuck in a frozen waterfall. A canteen lying near a stream. These objects become the final chapter. Found artifacts of a life that ended abruptly without witness. The person is no longer a person. They become a number on a missing persons registry. A blank space on the map where their journey ended. No funeral. The wilderness does not hand back what it takes. No headstones with carved names. No flowers on a manicured grave. The lost become permanent landmarks. Their story is told by the place where they were last seen. A landmark of sorrow and mystery. The grief of the Alaska Triangle has a different shape. It is a grief without closure. A wound that can never fully heal. For the families left behind, there is no body to mourn. There is no grave to visit. The person they loved has been absorbed by the landscape itself. That spot on the map, that river bend, that mountain pass, that stretch of lonely coastline, it becomes a sacred and terrible place, the only memorial they have. We say the names of the lost. The words sound thin and small against the vast, indifferent air. This is the cold, raw shape of the sorrow the triangle creates. The sounds of the triangle are a constant, low hum beneath the silence. Wind moving over ancient ice. A long, slow breath. The groaning creak of trees heavy with snow. The hollow crunch of snow packing underfoot. And then the sudden, heart-stopping give as a hidden space opens below. These sounds are not cruel. They are simply indifferent. A place that does not hear human prayer, that existed long before us, and will exist long after we are gone. It is the sound people hear when they know, with chilling certainty, they are utterly alone. In the absence of answers, theories grow like weeds in the dark. People talk of the obvious dangers, bears, the wolves, the sudden storms, the thin ice over a freezing river. These are real, and they account for some of the lost. But they do not account for all of them. They do not explain the planes that vanish from radar in clear skies. They do not explain the experienced woodsmen who disappear from well-known trails. So other whispers begin. People talk of strange lights in the sky, of UFOs and alien abductions. Some speak of the land itself as if it were a conscious entity, malevolent and hungry. The truth is likely a dark and complex weave of many different threads. The land is dangerous. The weather is volatile and unpredictable. Human tools can fail. And people, even experienced ones, can make fatal errors in judgment. Sometimes it is a crime, a human predator using the wilderness to cover their tracks. Sometimes it is just a simple, tragic accident. And sometimes the most troubling and frightening possibility is that none of that seems to apply. Sometimes a person is whole and alive one day, and the next, they are simply gone. The map keeps its secrets. The silence endures. They want to see a horizon that is not broken by buildings. They want to test themselves against something real and elemental. This is not a small or foolish wish. It is a noble instinct. Nature can be a great teacher. It can heal a wounded spirit. It can offer a sense of perspective that is impossible to find anywhere else. But this teacher is also a master of hard lessons. The wild can give, but it can also claim. The Alaska Triangle asks a difficult question of anyone who dares to enter it. When you step off the trail and into this immense wilderness, who is really in control of what happens next? 3 to 4's pause. Breath. Do you remain the author of your own story, the master of your own fate? Or does the land itself choose to take your story from you, to make it a part of its own silent, ongoing narrative? Here, the line between being a visitor and becoming a permanent resident is terrifyingly thin. In the triangle, to lose a person is not just a tragedy, it can become a form of erasure. The families of the missing are left to live with empty spaces, not just in their homes, but on the maps of their own lives. They keep photographs on the mantelpiece, frozen smiles from a time before the silence. They keep a chair by the window empty, a subconscious habit of waiting. They keep hope alive, because hope is a stubborn and persistent thing. Sometimes that hope ends with the discovery of a body, decades later, emerging from a melting glacier. But more often, it never ends at all. That is another one of the triangle's cruelties. It forces people to live with a door that never fully closes, a question that is never answered. They must wait for a name that may never be spoken in their home again. This limbo, this state of not knowing, can be a heavier burden than grief itself. The triangle does not just take a person, it holds their memory hostage, suspended between a life that was and a death that can never be confirmed. It is a slow, cold haunting that can last for generations, a story passed down with a shiver. 3 to 4's pause. Turn page SFX. Section 6. The Lessons of Erasure. The Alaska Triangle is a powerful teacher of limits. Human will is not always enough. Our clever tools fail. A compass, a GPS device. Small mistakes can compound into catastrophe. It demands our respect, like a hurricane, like a churning sea. Ignore that demand, and you invite disaster. Decades of stories read like a sad, weathered book. Its pages written in the language of the wild. Changing weather patterns, a frayed rope snagged on a rock, a single faded baseball cap. Each item a fragmented story ending in silence. The place is an old wound on the earth. The land speaks. The slow grind of glaciers, katabatic wind roaring down a slope, moss slowly reclaiming a lost object. These are processes on a different timescale. To be lost is to be translated into that language. A body becomes nutrients for the soil. A crashed plane, a metallic fossil, a story becomes a mystery. Erasure reminds us of our impermanence. Cities of steel and glass cannot tame this. The Alaska Triangle, nature to be reckoned with. We are, at core, vulnerable biological creatures. Section 7. The final question. In the end, the triangle asks us to make a choice. We can turn away from it. We can decide that the risk is too great, the mystery too dark. We can live our lives within the closed, predictable rules of town and city life. We can keep our feet on known ground, on paved roads, on marked trails, never straying too far from the safety of the familiar. This is a valid choice, a choice for safety and certainty. 3's pause. Or we can answer the call. We can go where the land is large, strange, untamed. We can go because we hunger for the horizon. If we choose to go, we must do so with a profound sense of humility. We must go as students, not as conquerors. We must learn the land's ways, its rhythms, its sudden tempers. We must carry good gear. But more importantly, we must carry better plans. We must tell someone where we are going and when we expect to return. We must be prepared to turn back when the weather turns against us. And even then, we must know that sometimes none of it will matter. The land will not always care about our preparations. Some doors, once closed by the wilderness, are closed for good. The last thought is simple, but it lands with a heavy weight. We go to the wild to find ourselves, to feel connected to something larger than our own small lives. We walk into a place that, by its very nature, makes us feel small. It can give us a sense of clarity and truth that is purifying. It can show us what we are truly made of, but it can also take us. It can swallow us whole and leave not a trace behind. The question of why it does this and how lingers in the air like a breath held on a cold day. We seek freedom in the wide open spaces. We believe that by entering the wild, we are expressing our ultimate liberty. But what if that is only half of the equation? What if the wild seeks us back? What if the wilderness, in its own silent, mysterious way, decides to keep us? The paradox is chilling. We go to be remembered, to have a great story to tell. But the triangle offers a different outcome. It offers the possibility of being forgotten completely.